This is an invitation to join one of our intelligent walks by the sea. They are essentially a conversation about intelligence that's both human and artificial. And we even scrutinise whether there is such a thing called artificial intelligence. We've had some wonderful conversations, and I say wonderful because some of the conversations have absolutely been full of wonder. Wonder at what intelligence is, what it means to be intelligent, how intelligence shows itself in society. People have come along to talk about that in their personal lives, but also their professional lives. We've had quite a few leaders coming to these conversations, but I love the diversity of the people who show up. Now, the way that this works is it's a very emergent agenda for the hour or so walk that we do, which means we begin using something called open space technology, which sounds a bit techie, but it's not really. It's just a way of meeting. So we meet at Brighton Pier just before we're about to set off, which is at 8:30 in the morning on the day of the intelligent walk. And if, for example, there's 12 people, we just stand in a circle. It doesn't look weird from outside. It's just a group meeting. But I invite people then to say what they'd like to talk about, what they're wondering about, what they're asking about intelligence. It might be a real live question for them in their working life. It could be that they're just curious. It could be that they're exploring AI particularly and they want to discuss aspects of that. So somebody might say, I would like to talk about what the ethics of AI are. I'd like to know what is the difference between human and artificial intelligence. It might be they're working on something really specific in AI, like vibe coding. Anyway, what they do is say, I'd like to offer a conversation about that. And everybody's free to go to that conversation, and that simply means when we set off, we've got a little agenda. There might be 2 or 3, might be more topics that have been put forward. We keep those in our heads, though I probably write them down on my phone as well, so we've got a record of them. And we then set off, and we set off towards the I-360. If we turn, let's say facing the sea, if we turn right, or we head off towards Brighton Marina if we turn left. And there are 2 halfway points depending on which walk we do. The halfway point at the left turn is what used to be Peter Pan's playground. It is literally the halfway point of the Volks Railway. The halfway point the other way is the I-360, the big flying saucer type thing that goes up that pole. And we stop and we just take stock, see where we're at with our conversation, and then we continue, having just shared the outcome of those conversations, what insights people might have, just very briefly. There might be some new topics to add before we continue, and on our turning right we end up at the Flower Pot Cafe in Hove. I think the whole walk takes about 50 minutes or so, depends how quickly or slowly we go, and the other way we'll end up somewhere near Brighton Marina, and there's a nice cafe there as well. We end in the cafe, and then we have a closing circle, just like we had an opening circle. We just sit around and just check out with each other after all grabbing a coffee. And so that's just to gain any insights that we have. So it's a good rounded hour or so conversation, although sometimes in the cafe it just keeps going on much longer. And some people have just joined in the walk, and some people have just overheard what we're talking about in the cafe and just joined in as well. Sometimes it's a really small group, sometimes it's a bigger group. They tend to happen every month or so, and quieten down a bit when it's really bad wintry weather. So you're invited to the intelligence walk, a different way of meeting, a different way of having conversation about intelligence. We're in an age at the moment where you might think some of our leaders are not very intelligent, and so you might want to get your head around what intelligence really is in the so-called age of artificial intelligence. Now, there's a few, they're not rules, they sort of describe what happens, that we do meet at 8:30 roughly, and we do set off, but in some ways whenever it starts is the right time. So you might have said you want to have a topic on something, but the topic just might change. It might last for 5 minutes and then you'll move on to something else. It's all very self-organised. Whenever it starts is the right time. Be easy on time. And so some people have joined us halfway or just caught up with us. Say some people have just come to the cafe at the end because they couldn't make the walk, but they've just joined in as well. Whoever comes are the right people. We don't regret it if there's just a couple of us. Just whoever wanted to come is there, so they are clearly the right people. Whatever happens, happened. It's the only thing in a way that could have, because it did. So what can happen there is no one might come to your talk. It might be that someone you realise has bought a bike and they just head off on their own to have a think. Unintended things are great when they happen, particularly when you're walking. In a few cases, somebody might just bump into a friend and say, right, I'm going to hang out with my friend here, or invite them to join us. Of course, it might rain too. But whatever happens is the only thing that could have, so we don't kind of go into any regret about what happened. There's no lines of success or failure. When it's over, it's over. So conversations just might end a little while. You might get a phone call. If you've got your phone on, you might just suddenly get inspired to go down to the sea. When it's over, it's over. And in the cafe, we've certainly stayed longer than the hour or so. Wherever it happens is the right place too, and in this particular case we are going for a walk. We do stop at certain places, but you might find you sit down on the park bench and that happens to be where you want to stay and have your conversation. Sometimes the cafe might be too full. We might end up somewhere else. So there's an invitation, I guess, to do two other things. One is just be prepared to be surprised. These are not prefixed conversations. They could go anywhere. And the other one also is, sometimes it's called the law of mobility, the law of 2 feet, the law of fluidity. But you might find you're on your own. No one's come to your conversation, and you might just want to think on your own, or just head and join somebody else. You might want to head off somewhere else too. It may well be that you're in a conversation, it's not what you thought it would be, and when we do this, it's not rude to just join another group of people that are walking along nearby. So that is how we meet. We have a walk, you get a bit of exercise. We've often had some very good deep dives into that borderland between intelligence, human and physical, and I invite you to join us. Just check out the website for the latest dates and times.